find something that you're good at
Okay.
and make sure you're well known for it.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Jonas, for agreeing to have this chat with me, because today I'm actually keen to understand more about experience, because I know you actually since many years back. I've heard of you and understand that you are in a senior role within a tech company, right? So I'm sure that you have done something right, and your experience and sharing would definitely be valuable to a lot of people out there. Because for myself as a recruiter, as a career coach, I do have many friends who's reaching out to me to ask me about advice for their career planning, but I do have some limitation, as in I only have about 5 years experience. I spoke to people from, of course, tech industry, but maybe more on the technical, different roles basically. So I want to really hear from you, from sharing, and I do have like a set of like questions for me to ask you, such as like maybe was there any challenges you face, and what would be your advice for people who want to transition into tech industry, etc. But before all this, would you mind to maybe share with us like a brief background about what you do and what's your professional background? Right, Jonas.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me here, Tekpo. I've been in the tech industry for almost 19 years. And I think if you look at my profile, I will break it down into 3 parts.
Wow.
So the first part is I spend the most time on development, implementing projects. So the people who actually implement the most complex projects. And I did it for banks, for airlines. That's why I learned the ins and outs of how to deploy a project. And then the second 1/3 of my career, I went into this role within IT. They call it the pre-sales. Some companies call it solution engineer, solution consulting. What we do was we are one step ahead of the food chain before we deploy. I was part of the sales team. So what we do is I consult clients, I spoke to them. And my job is to align what is important to them, their business goals and challenges, and how our software can help. So I will prepare demonstrations, prototypes, POCs, and run through with them, and also guide them how to evaluate and buy a software. So I was doing that for the second 1/3 of my career. And the last mile of my career, which is what I'm doing now for the past almost 6 years, is in the leadership role. So I run a team of pre-sales in the current company right now. So sort of like running a team that I was many years ago, and I really enjoy it because it's one of the roles that really allow me to sort of play and test new technology and then use that to help customers solve their problems. That's what we do. So that's my background, 18 years, good or bad is all in technology. 3 different roles allow me to expose to different types of people and different types of challenges as well.
I think it's really interesting, and to me it sounds like you have a plan that is like 3 phases, and then end up in a senior role with a tech company, which is like a dream job for many others actually. Like to us, or at least to me, I think this is really a success in the corporate world. Can you share with us like how do you actually achieve this success then?
Okay, honestly, right, success, we have to first maybe start by defining what is success.
Sure.
Because a lot of people feel success is just climbing up the corporate ladder, just getting promoted every year, having a very big team, and they view them as very successful. I think about that is important. I see it in 2 ways, right? First is I define success as a job that you can really give value and really enjoy what you're doing. You got to have fulfillment in what you do. Right, so that's one thing that I see that is important, because no point being in somewhere very high and you really hate your job. I know it sounds cliche-ish, but I think it's really true. Then you will not be really enjoying lah.
Have you come across people, they are in a good job, senior management, but they may not be as enjoying that much?
Yeah, I do. Some of them, they are sort of doing it because they probably think they're sort of good in doing that. But I think they've also come to a point where it's hard for them to change, right? They say, okay, a few more years, I'm going to retire. I'm really 50-something. Just hang on for a while, and then after that goes with it. It pays their bills, they're sort of enjoying. But I could feel maybe they could do more, in my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah, so that to me is one part. Second part is to find an environment where the people around me becomes more than just colleagues. To me, culture is very important. So if you talk to people in my company, my team, they know that I value team culture a lot. So again, these are the 2 things, if I done well and have built meaningful relationships with my bosses, my peers, and my downline, then then to me, that's good success, right? And naturally, if you're good at what you're doing, people will give you more and more responsibilities. To me, that I really enjoy it.
Yeah.
I don't have a formula of how you get there, Tekpo, but I think hard work is definitely one thing. And I think be good in what you do. If you really like what you do, then you naturally become very good at it. So one thing that I found early in life is somebody gave me this advice that, find something that you're good at and make sure you're well known for it.
Okay.
So at some point in my career, I was known to be quite a good presenter. I was a good speaker in big stages. And that was what I was known. So people have asked me to speak in keynotes, speak in big customer events.
All right.
And that's how Jonas branding started to become more and more evident. And then more opportunities came.
At what stage of your career back then? Was it at the first 5 years or the 10 years mark, or which point was that at?
It was somewhere in the second part of my job, the pre-sales.
Okay.
Actually, it was my first one. Right, I was doing development job, and to be honest and very transparent, I don't think I was the best at it.
Okay.
I quickly realized actually this development thing, I'm not the best at it. There's a lot of people who are much better than me, and someone told me, Jonas, you're actually better at public speaking.
Okay.
And they considered pre-sales could be a transition for me. So I also learned from people. It was true then I started to present. Then they thought, hey, this guy is actually quite natural. So they gave me big stages. I presented to 300 people, 600 people, 1,000 people audience. And then slowly I become, better and better. I also enjoy what I did.
So you mentioned the first phase.
It was then.
Okay. Was it the 5 years mark or around the 8 years mark, roughly?
It was around the 7-8 years mark. So my first one, the second job as a pre-sales, because the first job is implementation. I don't get to present a lot. It's just coding and doing a project. Yeah. The second part is where I need to talk to a lot of customers and audience.
I think I totally agree with you on this part, because I think your code is very powerful as well. Find out what you're good at, do what you're best at, and be well known for it. I think this is a very powerful statement here. But frankly speaking, from my experience and from the people that I spoke with, people who are around 30s and they are into also around the 5 to 10 years mark of professional experience. But usually at this stage, this is also whereby they are starting to doubt themselves and starting to ask, is this the path they want to take for the next 10, 15 years, right? So they might be questioning themselves am I really doing what I'm really good at this point? Or, this is the part whereby they are not sure. So I'm just curious also, was it the status you have right now or the satisfaction you have right now, is it something that you have already envisioned even 19 years ago? And when is the point that you realize that this is what you're really good at and you want to focus on this and be well known for it, right? So I think this part would be something that you can share a bit more.
Sure. So I can be honest with you. I'm not the type of guy who wakes up and sort of know what I want to become.
I mean, that's most people, at this case.
Yeah. Some people are like that. I can tell you a lot of people are not like that. So I like to tell even my younger team members, it's okay not to know what you, it's okay not to know what you want to become. But it's important to know what you don't want.
Okay.
So if you don't know what you want, you better know what you don't want.
Yes.
And then by elimination, it can sort of evolve over the way. So that was correct for my experience.
I the same thing as well.
That, I'm not very good in programming. I'm okay, and I'm not the best, but I realized I'm not really enjoying. Then this is not like my best. Then someone kind of stumbled across little things. So I sort of go by elimination. I didn't wake up one day and say, "Oh, I want to become a senior management of a company." That never occurred to me. It just happened along the way. So I don't know how many percent of people are like me, but my suggestion is, go with what you think you don't like and continue to learn, explore, talk to people.
Okay.
The other thing you can consider is getting people to tell you your honest truth and weakness. And true friends will tell you that.
Okay. Get people to tell you what's your weakness and what's your strength, right?
Yes. And then from there, you can start to evolve from there. That's how I feel.
Okay. And I think that's one thing I catch earlier, which is about the speaking. Because I think to you, was it natural that you are good at public speaking, or was it something that you see as a necessary skill and then you actually pick up and grow into that area? Because that's what I see and sense from my people, from my friends as well. So they might not actually like public speaking. I think that's what people at the start naturally don't like public speaking. But there are two groups of people. One would be like, okay, I decided I don't like and I don't do at all. And the other group is I don't like, but I see the importance and necessary of it. So I actually embrace and I'll be better at it. So what was your point, and how would you encourage people in terms of public speaking? Because it's not easy for many others, right? I love speaking. That's why I joined Toastmaster as well. And that's how we met each other through the investing club, and also like we have a common Toastmaster friend, right? So how was your experience what was your advice on this speaking part?
I didn't know early in life it was so important. I guess I was a bit lucky because I had more than one person telling me this is something that I do naturally. I don't tend to become nervous. I tend to just have, on stage humor once in a while. And then through that, I sort of realized it actually is quite important and it's actually quite fun. But it's also important to continuously learn and improve. So then I realized, actually it's really quite important, when you present to big bosses, how you present certain facts and numbers. It's about how you present a story. That's important. Two-person can look at the same picture and completely translate it very differently. So I guess, I learned a bit later that's important, but thankfully I just continue to work on it and become better.
Okay, that's great. I think what would be your recommendations for someone who would like to improve on public speaking then?
Toastmasters is one. I've attended a couple. I wasn't, faithful enough to stick through, but I think that's one. Second thing, honestly, if you ask me, right, there in this COVID times, we're doing a lot of this type of video conferencing. And it's getting very common. You can actually try recording yourself, right, and see how you look like. And once you play back and see how yourself, you probably cringe after, how come like that, But then you find areas to become better, and then you work on it. That's one. I've also attended coaching classes before. I actually attended one a while back by TravenTeng. He's obviously the top speaker.
I attended as well. But I think we were from the different batch.
Maybe different batch.
Yeah, correct. I think we went.
Could be. Yeah. So things like that. Once you sort of put money into learning, then that's where I think you will naturally become better. But it has to come with like yourself, like what you mentioned. You must have a revelation. This is important. This is something you want to work on. And then you find ways to improve. Everybody can be a good speaker, in my opinion.
Okay. I think that's very encouraging, especially for those who are watching and feeling a bit shy and I don't feel like doing it. I'm not good. I think it's good to give it a try, and I'm sure with time and with efforts put in, I'm sure anyone can be actually a better speaker. Need not be the world best speaker, but maybe be a better speaker than who you were in the past.
Right? Definitely. There's a couple of really good YouTube, or rather TED Talks. I think one of them talks about fake it till you make it. This lady, she came from a very humble background, and someone just give her the level of confidence that you can actually do it. You just have to believe in yourself and see yourself much higher. I think all of us, as we put in effort to become better and pick one topic that you're personally very passionate about, you become natural. You just become really good at it.
Okay, great. And Jonas, I think from what I'm hearing from your past 19 years of career experience, and seems very smooth. Was it? I'm just curious, because many people actually face challenges, and to you it's very smooth. You found your talented gift and like public speaking, and you got spotted. People encourage you to speak more, and you were given opportunity, and the transition seemed very smooth as well. But I'm just wondering, was there a career setback that you actually faced, which maybe then you realized it was actually an advantage for you, or what were the challenges you faced early in your career, the setbacks that you faced?
I would say, honestly, the first 1/3 of my career wasn't that smooth. Like I said, I was still discovering myself. A lot of my friends have gone on and done, sales and other roles. I'm still stuck in development, and like I said, I wasn't the best at it. So I would say that was a bit of a struggle. But I think it was also through that really forced me and caused me to think, okay, I gotta do something different, right? I gotta find something different and branch out to somewhere where I can become much more of an impact. The last few years, I realized, okay, I don't think I can do this anymore, 24/7 technical support. Much as I love, technology, I felt that something else I need to do differently. So it was that trigger point that caused me to think, and I spoke to different people. Like I said, people will tell me what you're good at or what areas that you're not so good at. And I was lucky enough to find another company to give me an opportunity to try out my second part of my career, which is around pre-sale. So that mentor and my manager is still my friend today. I'm so grateful for him for giving me this chance to join him.
Okay, okay. It sounds like, I think, to me also, like having a great mentor definitely helps one to accelerate in the career. So I think those are really good advice. How about what general career advice would you give for someone who is really like passionate, but maybe relatively new to the tech industry, or even for those who are feeling like making a transition into the tech industry, but currently still kind of like start in the sunset industry? So how would you advise?
I think there's two things you can do. First, there are a lot of free courses you can get yourself enabled. I also see a lot of applicants into my company who don't come from tech background. But those who actually put in effort to learn and pick up tend to have a higher chance. So I was just surfing this morning. There's edx.com. I think they have free courses from Harvard. If you go to this company, you know, Salesforce Trailhead, they also offer a very good online learning system. And I know of people who pick up technical skills from there and then eventually found a job in the tech industry. So I think that's one thing that you could do, and it's completely within your control, right? Which is more to learn, pick up. The second thing I would advise is, again, within means of your control, is network as much as you can, right? Talk to different people, like yourself, get to expose to different exposure and different people.
And that's also one of the objectives I want to interview and have a chat with people. And even for myself, this is not just sharing with my friends, but this is also for me to learn. And throughout this, I think I get a lot, but I don't want this to only limited by myself. I think I want to, with your permission, I want to share this sharing, which I think is very useful for many others who is keen to step into this world and learn from our experiences.
So I think networking is not something that everybody wakes up, you know. Some people are natural at it. I think I'm okay. I'm not super
I'm not
natural, but it's something that is important. It's something that is important, right? So you spoke about mentor, even within a large tech company, there's so many people, right? How do you so-called differentiate yourself is you find a couple of mentors or sponsors who's willing to speak up for you. I say, you know, I've seen Tech Paul's work, he's really good. I would recommend and suggest him for A, B, and C. I always believe one thing, right? Indirect influence sometimes is more powerful than direct influence, right? So if you're going to apply for this job for this very big boss, if he hears from the people that he trusts that you are good compared to you telling him you are good, I think that's more powerful in my opinion. So again, it has to be authentic and not over-engineered, but you just really learn what people do, try to add value in people's life, help them as much as you can. That's how you network, in my opinion. So learn as much as you can, network people with the tech industry. And then thirdly, maybe you also need to think about what roles you want to get in. For people who have non-tech exposure, maybe think about the non-technical roles. Probably going to development and programming will be a bit hard. But you can try, you know, marketing roles, sales roles. They do actually hire people who are not from the tech background, but who are willing to learn. So these are the three things I think I would suggest.
Okay, true. I think one last part would be that I do understand that currently we are kind of like in a recession, right, or about to enter anyway. So there are people who is already impacted and who might be facing like retrenchment and having a lot of like job uncertainty. I think those groups are different from those who are in a good job. They can take time to take courses and, you know, slowly transition to tech industry. But how about for those who are already unfortunately impacted by this COVID-19 situation? How would be your advice for them to overcome or break through from these like challenges that they are facing?
You mean those who are, let's say, currently might have job implications already?
Correct. May face a retrenchment coming or job like salary pay cut, etc. A lot more uncertainty, a lot more vulnerable than the first group that who is good, but they want to transition, right? So I think, how about the second group of people who is more vulnerable?
Yeah, I feel for them. I mean, it's tough, right? So I have a lot of restaurant friends who have to close down as well because of this unfortunate incident. I don't think there's a magic solution for that. You know, like I said, what I mentioned earlier does apply. Keep learning, keep networking with people. The other thing that you and I have in common is, again, you know, learn to invest, right? So
correct. And that's true. That's how we met.
Learn to invest, learn to find a way to earn other sources of income.
True.
That's something, you know, and I never thought about it, but like I said, you know, pick up some of the skills and and connect with people who can help you to place you into jobs. I haven't experienced this, fortunately, or this kind of incident, but I would imagine for me it might be also a good time to take a break, to think about what I really want to do.
True. I
Right?
think that's very good advice.
Yeah, what I want to do, learn, and then maybe it's a good time to reset, and really have a checkpoint in my life.
Great. I think that's great advice. And in fact, even because for those who are already impacted, I think that's what they can do, right? To really take a point, to reset, but to avoid, being retrenched and to avoid the chance for being retrenched, right? So I actually share with people like how they should actually have a career by design and not default, and do not treat a job like a career, because I think a job is what we do. For example, my day job is a recruiter, and your day job is in this a director for a big tech company. I can hear that you have been doing a lot of things outside in terms of like public speaking, in terms of like value adding to people, even not within your industry. You are just passionate about sharing and add values to people. So I do advise people like how they should think a career is about not just a job, but complementing with what else that's missing from a job. For example, a recruiter, I have my limitation on recruiting only software engineers for my tech company, right? But I can't really help my friends who is in just a job in the restaurant or in retail or like a social worker. So that's how I do career coaching, so that I can actually add values to their career development. So I think that to me is a career that we can actually design for, rather than to even for income. For example, I have friends who is in a job they love doing, they're passionate, but they are not getting enough paid, right? So they don't want to leave the industry because that's what they love doing, that they are calling, right? But then they are facing a situation whereby they're getting very paid little. So how I advise them is actually like, you should think like a job is what you are actually doing, but a career is about a long-term goal, about your passion, and what is missing from a job, such as, let's say, pay, is what you can actually make up by picking up other skill like investing skill, and you can still make more income, because never treat your income equal to what you're getting from the day job. Let's say my day job, assuming if I'm a social worker, I'm getting only 3K a month. I think that shouldn't stop you from making 5K a month. Let's say you're 2K to be 1K from public speaking, 1K from investing, 1K, maybe another K from property investing. So that's how I advise people to look at the bigger picture, to plan their career rather than just thinking of finding a good job that fits them. That's really passive.
100%. I completely agree. I mean, it'll be very sad if you look at the paycheck and you confine yourself that you are worth that, because that's never true. Right? I think all of us have so many ways to ideas that you can earn income. Investing is definitely one of the many ways. So you're completely right. And who knows, right? Through this, you can also meet a lot of people who can set you to different paths as well.
Correct. I think this is
so. I agree that.
Great. So I think any last thing to share, or if not, what would be the book that you would like to recommend to my people, so that they can take it as a self-learning thing, they can continue to learn more?
I have been reading mostly more of leadership books. I can recommend a couple. They're a bit oldies lah. So the one that is still very applicable, although it's like so many years ago, is by Dale Carnegie. I just read it again. This is what Warren Buffett recommended as well. How to make friends and influence people. That's one is something that I feel very, very practical, and just improving your interpersonal skills. So I recommend it anytime. For someone who's looking to become a manager, there's a book called The Multipliers.
All right.
It's a yellow color book, which is really good because it talks about a few principles where you can become a much more empowering leader and manager. So that's something which a principle which I stick by a lot, and I think these two books, for a start, might be good.
I think that's good. Thanks, Jonas, for your time.
I really appreciate you doing this kind of things, Lepo. I think you're doing a lot to help people. I wish, honestly, in my younger years, I have someone like you who I can look up to and learn and help me in my career. But you're doing a fantastic job, so appreciate it.
All right, no worries. Thanks, Jonas, for your time once again. And I do hope people who are watching this video can actually benefit from it. And if they have any questions, feel free to maybe share with me, and I'll try to also do my best to help them. All right, so that's all. Let's see you again hopefully in person, Jonas, next time.
Yes, stay safe. I'll talk to you.
Thank you for your time.